you approach it as a human as opposed to being authoritative. I think they just react so much more, and you don't have conflict. You're not ruining their day. You're not ruining your day. And it's just a conversation.
Hi friend, I'm Lauren Jean. I'm a thinker, babbler, lover of stories and founder of Thinking of Me. Welcome to our first season of Women Only Speakers, where we talk all things empowerment, success, relationships, and above all else, self. I hope you might find a new thread of thought as you listen. Hello, Diagwich Makara, a new thought Cass Ogwing, Thinking of Me podcast. Hi friends, we have Cass with us. As I say, please ignore any of my grammar. It's like Gaeilgeoir me. I'm not really a Gaeilgeoir. I have some Irish, but not the most fluent anymore. Cass, who's with us today, is an Irish and home economics. Oh my God, I don't have words. There you go, a couple of lines of Irish, and my free flow goes. Irish and home ec, and I've followed Cass actually for the last couple of years, but we've never connected, and I'm really grateful that she's decided to come on and kind of share a little bit of her story when it comes to all things travel and Irish, what it means to be a home economist. And and hopefully maybe it helps one of our friends listening in that as well. So Cass, if you want to introduce yourself, kind of loosely who you are, some of your backstory, whatever you'd like to share.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is very, very exciting. But hello, everybody. I am Cass. I am a secondary school teacher. I've been teaching, oh God, the years all like blend into one, like around 8 years now. I teach home ec and Irish all throughout the years from first year all the way up to sixth year. And I am currently teaching in County Dublin, and I'm from County Clare.
Clare, whereabouts in Clare actually, Cass?
Tiny little area. It's very close to Killaloo, so okay. East Clare.
Southeast, yeah.
Not so. The west side's the better side of Clare, the prettier side. We're the hurling side.
That's right, actually.
Yeah.
Very good. And you mentioned there, like with the Dublin school and being from Clare yourself, I know you've done some travel. Where else have you been located, long or short term, over the last 8 years now since you've been teaching, or have you taught the whole way?
I actually, since I graduated, I've been in the same school. But then teaching practice, one was down in Clare and they were all in Dublin. So Dublin, it was meant to be. I was drawn to Dublin.
That's it. And when you're up here, it's hard to leave sometimes.
It is, yeah, the big city and all that.
Yeah, that's it. You say the 8 years, Cass, I know myself from having studied in the same college as you that obviously there's really another 4 on top of that from first year placements and all that you kind of mentioned it too. Do you feel like, and for friends listening, like if you are a teacher, you'll know this is like an obvious answer. And for friends who aren't, I hope that maybe kind of the idea of how much goes on in one teacher's day might land a little bit across this episode. But yeah, does it feel like that length of time, or does it feel like it was a minute ago, or what's that kind of timeline been like for you since starting?
Honestly, like it feels like a minute ago, and I'll never forget my first year teaching. An older teacher who's near retirement said to me, this year's going to go slow and the rest of them is all going to blend into one, and before you know it, you're going to retire. And I kind of laughed in a way. I was like, yeah, I'm sure it'll go at like a steady pace. But oh my goodness, it has flown by. And it's so funny because you mix the years up and you're talking, you run into past students, you're like, oh my goodness, whose year were you in? Like it does blend into one, which is crazy. The time goes really, really fast. Because I don't know about you, but like I base my years around the school year, and it just, once you get to October, the year is nearly done. Like it honestly is, it just goes so fast.
No, I hear you. And I've a colleague that I worked with the last couple of years, and he won't mind me saying, and anyone who's listening might know who I mean. His thing is always, yeah, but sure, and then it's summer, so like that. It's like 2 days into August, and he's like, oh yeah, the first staff meeting's done, and sure, then it's, the end of September, and sure, then it's Halloween, and then it's Christmas, and then it's summer, so.
Yeah, it's so funny, we're always finishing it off the next break. We're just as bad as the students.
Hoping today we'll kind of jump into a little bit of that, and it'd be maybe a good time to kind of start off in asking about like stress and stress management, because that's one key question we've asked everyone of our females coming on this season. And I know, Cass, you've just come through a subject department inspection, so and it's right before Christmas right now at time of recording. So yeah, I suppose, what is that like for you with all things breaks, everything that happens in one day. And yeah, when things like that, like you get another thing thrown on top, like a subject inspection right before Christmas. What's your stress management like?
Well, I think the longer, and I know it depends on the school, but I think the longer you've been in the school, you really lean on your department and your friends. So, like our department, our Irish department, really, really came together and we really lent on each other. We split up all the jobs that we had to do and we made sure it was equal. So, I think having, and I know once again it depends on the school, but having a really good support system within the school is so, so important. And as well as that, then the kids were fantastic. So, we did tell the kids about it and they were like our biggest cheerleaders. They were so sweet. Like a little second year made us all cookies for the Irish teachers because she knew we had the inspection coming up. So I think if you talk about your stresses and you kind of share that with people, they'll all help out each other, which is really, really nice. And then outside of school, it was really important for me to just like go for a walk or do a little bit of yoga to kind of step away from all the school stress, especially with that inspection. It was a lot. So just a little bit of me time in all the busyness and teamwork. I think they were the two biggest things.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that teamwork and that connection, as you say, it does depend on the school in kind of how that kind of works and roles and sometimes management and all that kind of thing. And just to share a little bit of me with you on that as well, like I would have been the same across Angie's. For friends listening, Angie's is the colloquial term for St. Angela, home economics training school in Ireland up in Northwest. And at the time when I started, anyway, it would have been the same across UCAS. It was the only place to study the subject and to become a home economics teacher. And I know now there's more options and all that kind of thing, which is great as well. Where am I going down this side road? Oh yeah, in saying that you get a huge variety of experience is
for sure
the thing, and you get to see all different schools. And like that, I'm from Westmeath and you're Clare, so like when you're coming kind of from different kinds of rural experience and different kinds of urban, it's in, as you say, kind of how that gets fostered then across your classroom, it sounds like, with your students, and then also with your colleagues and so on. And I know on your TikTok, I think that's really when I said I'd love to have this chat because I saw you share your day in the life of a teacher and going through like that, all from coming in and your setup and getting your things done before the start of the workday and teaching your classes and then through to the end. So I think that organization and that hyper organization sometimes that we're so capable of.
Yeah, we really are.
Yeah, kind of see some of the stress ahead of time.
Yeah, literally, and try to stop it.
Yeah, try and put out the fire before it comes.
Exactly.
Would you say, Cass, like that with Angie's then, and what was that like kind of coming up from Clare to, like I don't know how rural you are, or what your school experience is like. Yeah.
Pretty rural. Like my own secondary school, I think we had 300 kids in it. So it wasn't a huge adjustment because Angela's, I don't know, with the home ec and then the nursing and social studies, was there roughly 1,000 maybe? It didn't feel huge adjustment, to be honest. And then the college itself is so rural as well. So it wasn't a huge step up. It wasn't like we were going into like Trinity where there's thousands and thousands of people. I didn't find the adjustment too bad. But it did make it easier because a girl I used to play camogie with from Clare, now a different school in Clare, also was going to Angela's at the time. So I already knew someone going up that was going to be in my year, which of course made it so much easier. I don't know if you were the same.
Yeah, well, I actually, and thanks for asking. If you wouldn't know, and for any friend listening who doesn't know, I actually had been in college the year before that. I had started off in NUI Galway. You see, I always had the plan that I would only ever wanted to be a teacher, but the only thing I ever liked was drama, like drama theatre.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so kind of Leaving Cert year was a great year for all that. Like I think like 5 or 6 different drama things in the one year, as well as the Leaving Cert, as well as like friends, all that. But like it was the outlet, it was the kind of thing. I didn't have the sport instead, like hurling country.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I kind of thought, oh yeah, let's explore this first and then whichever. So the short version of that is I wasn't myself by the time it hit Halloween of first year college, and I really wasn't by like the new year, say. So I left that course and I decided to go back and do the home ec, because the home ec was kind of the second option.
Good for
And
you.
yeah. So I'd kind of seen the outside, a small bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you
I'd
saw
seen
the
what it
real
was
world.
like. Yeah. And I think that's a big reason why I didn't adjust as quickly as I know I would have if I had only gone in and hadn't seen anything else. You know, it's kind of
Yeah,
weird
that
that way.
makes sense. No,
Yeah.
that definitely makes sense. But good for you for leaving a course that, you know, you felt it wasn't for you at that time. Good for you.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate that. And like, it was the kind of thing where she said, am I doing that? Like, that's, you know, I remember being leaving cert and listening to the guidance counselor in the school and kind of going, oh yeah, by this time next year, there'll be 60% or whatever the figure was of you that have dropped out. And I was looking, I was like, yeah, not me, you know, like it's deputy head
Of
and like
course.
student council, all that kind of thing. I was like, that's not me at all. So yeah, it just kind of shows how things can change and environments. And I'm wondering, like, did you feel in St. Angela's then and going from that transition and then, like, as you say, you're in the kind of the one school, is it just always been there, or when did you kind of decide, no, I want to be a teacher, this is what I'm doing, this is my path?
Yeah, you know, it's a funny story. I'll never forget, we're in TY and we're in a home ec class, and there was literally like, I think 15 of us, and our home ec teacher, who was really, she's one of those, she's an amazing teacher. She's one of those teachers that was really scary from first to third year, and then she started to kind of warm up to you when you're in the senior years. I'll never forget, she literally asked the class, she's like, oh, is anybody thinking of being a home ec teacher? And then all of a sudden, I genuinely like felt my hand raised, and I was like, wait, what am I doing? And then she was like, oh, this is really amazing. And then I kind of just decided then and there, I was like, you know what, I will do teaching. And then I love my home ec teacher, love my Irish teacher. So I think that really fostered what I wanted to do then. And I always was interested in travel, and we can't deny teaching is a really, really, really good career if you want to travel as well with the holidays. So
No, for sure. And with that, with the home ec teacher, I love that because I had that in first year. Like, my home ec teacher in first year was just my granny, like, and she called me Lorraine. I was never Lauren, I was Lorraine. And it was the kind of thing where, you know, you're making the brown bread, you're doing the stuff. I was like, I'm just kind of doing all the stuff you do at home anyway. And
yeah,
the idea of, oh yeah, I'm going to teach home ec, and, you know, it was kind of always the thing. And it's like this and whatever the other subject. The subject didn't matter as much as the idea there. And I love that with the raising the hand. Is that?
Yeah, it kind of just came to me. Yeah. It was really weird. It was just like something took over my body. I was like, oh, why is my hand going up? And then I kind of just decided then and there that I was going to do it. So it just happened like a click of a finger.
Yeah. Those gut reactions, like, they're always the best decisions.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was so young, like TY, you're what, 15, 16, and then I honestly just stuck with it, which I'm glad I did. It's a great job. It's a wonderful job.
Yeah. And your travel, you say then, Cass, so where have you been? What's been your favourite kind of travel story?
Well, so like 2 years ago, I can't believe it's been 2 years ago now, I went on a career break. So I took a career break from the school I'm currently in, and I moved to Vancouver for 1.5 years, and then before I came back, I traveled the world for 6 months. So that was absolutely incredible. So we did it was budget backpacking, which was tough. I don't think I'll ever do it again. I think I'm a little bit too old for budget backpacking. But we went, honestly, pretty much everywhere. We did a bit of Central America, down to South America, New Zealand, Australia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand. Like, we did a proper trek around. I think we hit 13 countries on that trip. It was absolutely amazing.
It's class. That's the dream. How many years was there? Sorry, how many years was there?
Just two.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really fun. But you know yourself, when you're kind of traveling, you're staying, especially budget traveling, you're staying in hostels, so you get to meet like loads of different people along the way, and it was interesting. You'd run into a lot of the same people because they were kind of following a similar route, which is really, really nice. And kind of the people you're staying in hostels or like traveling, they're very like-minded people as well, so it was always so fun to see people very similar but also quite different. You know, there's a good contrast of people there, which is great.
Yeah, no, for definite. That's something that's still on my bucket list. And as you say, with the summers and you do have the time.
Mm-hmm.
The struggle I've had, just personally myself, is like the finance side of it then, of like trying to balance, obviously, as you say, being in Dublin and then everything else that comes with that, and trying to travel. So how long did you plan the career break, like, and kind of taking that step?
A long time. So a long time, because I knew we wanted to do like a stint to travel, so we knew we would have to save quite a while. So I would say we were meant to go in 2020, but then of course we all know what happened in 2020. I'd say we decided 2 years before that to save and get ready, because we had known that Canada is a really expensive country to live in. So yeah, 2 years, but then COVID happened, so we had the extra year of saving on top of that. So it did take a little bit. Now, to be fair, the budget, the backpacking wasn't the most expensive part. It was definitely living in Canada, because it's like Dublin doubled with price. Like it's pretty expensive.
One of the girls says that, all right, and we realized before we came on that we have that mutual friend, and I would live with her all through college and that, through second year onwards anyway, and we're actually birthday twins and everything else. So the new connections, as you say, through college, through travel and everything like that, that when you can change base a small bit and know there's someone somewhere, I think that's the really cool thing at this age and stage. Like, I don't know about you, but like the girls are everywhere at the minute, and there's someone in every continent. and
literally, yeah.
And my birthday just gone, we actually did shots around the world, because I was like,
no way.
There's no way we're getting everyone. My next birthday, I'll be 30. I'm kind of in strong denial about it. So I was like, no, I'm not having a 30th. I was like, let's do something a bit like big now. So that's what I did, and sent like a Zoom invite out to like all different countries, being like, let's just like do this at 7:00 Irish time. And
I love that. Yeah, that's so wholesome.
Like 6 different continents or whichever. So do you ever find, now that like you've done that with the career break, is that kind of that travel done, or had you ever had that like major pull to, I need to explore further? Do you know?
I definitely had an itch, and I was hoping with the 2 years away, like, get rid of the itch. It just made it worse. It just made it actually worse. Yeah, it made it worse. Honestly, I would head off again tomorrow in a heartbeat. Like, I love teaching so much. It's so fun, but the long-term traveling was amazing. Like, it really was. Now, don't get me wrong, it was tiring, which I know sounds really funny, but it was, because you're not in routine. I think humans naturally need routine. So it was challenging in that way, but no, to answer the question, it was amazing, and it just has made the itch worse. I don't think I go on like another break. I think I'll keep it to the holidays now. But yeah, it's made it worse. So just heads up if you're going to do it as well. It's gonna give you a worse itch, but it's so worth it. It's genuinely the best thing I've ever done. Like, I could not recommend any teacher who's thinking, or anyone who's listening, who's thinking about going traveling, even for like short periods of time or long periods of time. I could not recommend it more.
Oh, for sure. Like the quote, travel broadens the mind. It's so cheesy, but it's so true. And
so cheesy, but so true. Yeah.
I was in London last weekend, like literally for a day. Now, there's a whole story behind that too, but I was literally there for the day, and all it took was just stepping into St. Pancras. And I was like, yeah, I'm somewhere new. It's and
soaking up the atmosphere. Yeah. And London's a great, especially at Christmas time, all the pretty lights.
That's it. And like, I've seen it 1,000 times or whatever at this stage, and it just changes the mindset a small bit. And
it does.
For any friend listening, it's this Teacher Travels on TikTok is where you can kind of see some of Cass's explorations and everything else. You spent there with the itch, and after getting stronger in that now, and working always for like the next break and like thinking across the school year. Are you the kind, because I know I am, are you the kind of person that like needs to know when their next holiday is, or are you?
Oh yeah, girl, I have my whole summer plan this summer.
Tell us the plan.
I am one of those.
No, I am too. Tell us the plan.
So the first 5 weeks I'm going to go off to Bali, and I'm actually going to train to be a yoga teacher. Yeah, no, that has always been on the kind of bucket list. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to India and Nepal after. And then one of my best friends is getting married in Vegas in the summer, and I'm her bridesmaid, so we're going to go to Vegas. And then after that, I'm going to go to Peru and do the Inca Trail. That's the plan. So dream big, save hard during the year, and then dream big, enjoy the summers. Yeah. What about you? You said you have some plans, do you?
Definitely. I love that. It is a dream big, work hard. I brought my mom to Rome there in June, and I also booked a little mini holiday for myself just before it. And I kind of it was the first time I took 2 weeks since I started renting. But like that, you just
Wow.
go tunnel vision, because I had made the decision at Christmas. I was like, no, that's going to be Mom's present. And then, yeah, you're working hard, but you don't mind working hard when you know what it is that you're doing, and especially with the travel. So yeah, with me, let this be the first time I've said it out loud to friends. And thanks for asking. I have a whole new world in front of me. I moved up to Dublin. Sorry, I'm going to give you the long answer. I moved up to Dublin in 2020 because, like that, you couldn't travel. It was the kind of thing where, and I went back to Greece and I was sitting over there, and I was like, Lauren, take the smart option. I had a school ready for me at home, so I was like, take the smart option. It's COVID. This place is going to close again. It was only, August time. Things are only starting to kind of half open, yourself, and then close again. So I said, if I can't travel, I might as well pay Dublin rent. So I've been paying Dublin rent for the last 4 and a bit years. And with everything with Thinking of Me mission and the whole works, I'm completely sold. I'm not in the classroom for the first time ever, like in the physical classroom. So my plan is in February to have the world as my plant pot, because where I live, I call the plant pot because it's like kind of where I rooted into to kind of settle myself for like that a couple of years and kind of make the new plans, all that kind of thing, and settle into the teaching for a while. But I always said I wanted to travel and do things before teaching. And
amazing. Yeah.
I love the classroom, and I love that like every time I said I'm not doing it yet, I got like pulled back in like every time.
Yeah, of course, that was the way.
Yeah, so this is the first time where it's like and it's weird, like it's really weird, because as you say, when you're out of routine and you're out of things, like change is weird, but it's exciting knowing that it's for that, and I know what that'll look like and be like to get to do that, because I didn't take my year. I was going to take that year kind of before teaching. So yeah, Bali is on my list. Bali is on my cards for definite.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. It's absolutely gorgeous. Very peaceful, beautiful. Yeah, the vibes are immaculate. You will love it.
Thanks. I'll get some tips before we go.
Absolutely.
You said like that about being out of routine. What was the one thing you really missed, or was there like any moment when you were in the backpack world where it was like, I just would love a day of whatever, or like get to do this one thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know what it is? It was a chill day, because when you're traveling, you feel this need to go out and be busy all the time. And that's fine when you're gone for like 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is. But this was like 5 to 6 months of nonstop. So a chilled, relaxed day. But we also found like when we did relax, you still had the onus on you to get up and do something. You nearly had a guilt.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, when the sun shines in Ireland, you feel guilty when you're inside. It was that same feeling. So yeah, I think like one thing I really missed was just being able to have a relaxing day where you just read a book or watch Netflix and not feel guilty. And then privacy, like you do miss having your own bedroom, having the quiet time, because we were in hostels for the majority of it with like 18 people in the same room, which was a lot. Yeah. So it was nice to come back to quiet time and a warm shower. Never underestimate a warm shower.
I've learned that before in the past.
Yeah.
With the private time, Cass, like, I'm curious, like, what's that like for you? So I'm from the country as well, and I love home and I love my family, but by God, like, does everyone know where you are at any one time? It's like,
oh, absolutely.
You're in the toilet for like 5 minutes too long, and it's like, yeah, right. And it's like, yeah, and that kind of thing. And then, I know with teaching, we're very seen, and I'd love to chat about that too. But what is kind of that like for you, and like kind of having this is my space time, and where have you found those moments, kind of even from, as I say, maybe through home, through college, and like that now, and with the travel, not being on the cards, that you're like back in routine.
Yeah, I think quiet time to me is just sitting down in silence. I don't know if you're like, after the classroom, it's so overstimulating because it's just so loud. You're meeting 6 different classes a day. It's a lot going on. So I think to just come home, have quiet time, like don't even have the TV on for like 20 minutes, grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, scroll. I'm I need to stop with my
Yeah,
scrolling, but have a little
we
scroll.
all do.
And then I love to watch like Gilmore Girls or something that's really, really easy to watch. And then summertime, there's a little bit more freedom. Like I love in the summertime after school going for a walk with headphones, but obviously it's really dark now, so you can't do it. But I think, yeah, just kind of quiet time. Literally, like no noise, no TV, just soothing, relaxing silence.
I really hear that. Because the overstimulation that like there is, we don't talk about it, you know.
No.
And I don't think you can't explain. And this, like, I'm not, and I don't want to get into the whole debate of like, oh, how hard do teachers work? It's not that at all.
Of course. Yeah.
But we are like, as I say, we're putting out fires, we're trying to prevent fires, and then you're also leaving space for creativity. And I, as I say, follow you on Instagram and that for a long while now, and with your Cora Cass account and the Cúpla Focal, and you have Focal and Lay, and bringing some of that Irish message across. And I've seen your classroom, as I say, from your socials, you know, allowing that creative space. There's so much that happens from the start of that day to the end of that day. And and that changes space in the summer, as you say. What is it that kind of keeps you creative? Because there is, like, as I say, I've seen your creativity. So, what is it that kind of pulls you to do that and to make sure that there is time for that? And
that's a really good question. I think, you see, I've always, like, even in school, I'm more of a creative brain as opposed to like a logical brain or anything like that. I think I find it really soothing.
Yeah.
I find it really, really soothing, and I love making like creative things for the classroom or even on social media, but in particular with making things for the classroom, like I have the classroom really colourful, and you can kind of see how it affects kids as well. Like they kind of consider it to be like a safe, fun place. I think it's all about the mindset. And especially then with teaching Irish, because sometimes, well, no, they have to do it. The kids have to do it. And sometimes they really don't want to do it. So I think any association with like fun, creativity, letting them be creative, letting me be creative, bright colours, any association, like positive association with Irish, I think it just really, really helps. And then for me at home, like it's just a really good way to unwind. It's just really fun. I find it really fun. So it's kind of like a little treat nearly at the end of the day to be able to make something for social media or get my Focal and Lay ready for the next day. It's just like a creative, fun thing to do, really. So long may it last being fun.
No, I hear you. I feel you, because I'd be that way too. And like when I started with all this, like with Thinking of Me and with the blog and that, like it was the kind of thing where you'd write something, you're like, okay, this is like maybe helpful for somebody else, or you make sense of something, you're like, okay, I have to share this, and all that kind of thing. But then like sitting with Canva and picking the right picture, because I love taking pictures and I have since forever. Yeah. And I'm the friend that like ever since, like even from Bebo days, like remember, like, did you have Bebo? Yeah. Yeah. So like even Bebo days, but definitely with the time it was like Facebook albums, I was the one that everyone would be messaging the next day being like, take that down. You know,
put up the photos. Yeah. So, that's amazing.
Yeah, I love getting the little moments for that kind of thing, and then kind of marrying the quiet and the loud together is just fun. So I wonder, like with the Focal and Lay and that, like as you say, creative space, have you ever had an obstacle of sharing that, doing that, like, and as I say, like with how much you are open to sharing of your day to day? Like, has that ever come up?
Yeah, okay. And I hope it lasts like that, because I try to keep it very much like my social media is, well, the Irish, the Cora Cass is very much like teacher based, Irish based, and then with the TikTok, I suppose that makes you a little bit more vulnerable because you're more shown like your life. But no, thankfully TikTok is really, really good, because I mean we all know that teachers get a lot of hate a lot of the time. But TikTok is really good. Like if there's any comments, they always filter them, and then you can delete them, which is amazing. Now, touch wood, I don't really get them. You get the usual like, oh, teachers moaning, etc. But no, I haven't faced any obstacles. The kids found out, because I mean they find out everything. And they love it. Like they're really supportive. They love TikTok and stuff. So they're kind of your biggest cheerleaders and hype people. But no, I think because it's like travel based and teaching based, there has been no issues. Thankfully, and long may that last also.
Sure, yeah. And even with and I'm going to say it, was the fear of God not putting you at any point in teacher training? I'm curious. And I ask that because I know I had a lot of fear of God in me over my shoulder with things like having to have folders ready and the length of the skirt, even though you'd have the tights on as well as the, you know, things like that. It actually really did affect me. And I was never that kind of person, or at least I don't think I was, before I went into teacher training. And again, I'm not giving out about any one particular place. I'm not giving out about like the idea of teaching. I'm not giving out about like the Irish system, anything in that way. But there obviously is a standard that like is expected and to meet. And yeah, for a long time, like as I say, I remember like first year going out teacher training and like for practice and for placement and changing all the social pictures to like apples. Yeah. Like I think my Facebook picture was like an apple.
Changing your Facebook into the Irish version so they wouldn't find you.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just wondering, like, was it always just kind of natural that you knew the lines, or yeah, that you didn't have that kind of fear?
Yeah, I mean, I think particularly where we went, they were obviously super, super strict, but I think I knew in my heart, I kind of let it go over my head because I knew it was quite unrealistic. Like, I remember, once again, not giving out about anything or anywhere in particular, but I remember you weren't allowed to wear like black jeans on teacher placement. Like, I knew in my heart back then that it was unrealistic. It's a pair of jeans. It doesn't affect your job whatsoever. Like, I think the expectations put on us where we went were extremely, extremely high, and I don't think they're realistic. So I think I knew all along I was more in line with my previous secondary school. Like, I knew kind of what happened in that secondary school, what way things worked, etc. So I was kind of keeping that in my head because I kind of knew what put on was a little bit unrealistic, in my opinion.
No, I hear you.
I don't know if you feel the same, but no, I think like as long as you're being professional at the end of the day, as long as you look professional, mainly act professional, that is all what's so important. That you're a good teacher, you're taking care of the kids. I think at the end of the day, that's the most important thing in the career, not whether you can wear black jeans or not.
Can we get that quoted somewhere and put
yeah, honestly, guard over the black jeans.
Oh my God.
Honestly, I remember someone in my year had to repeat their teaching practice, or else they had to get like a third visit because they were wearing black jeans.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's be realistic. Were the kids safe? Yes. Were the kids having fun? Yes, that's all that matters.
I got brought down a mark. I can't remember what the set, but I'm sure you can, when you close your eyes, I'm sure you can see the sheet of paper I'm on about. But you know, the docket of the review,
guard for life,
trauma block of what those pages were called. But basically, and for our friends listening, we're kind of sharing private ins here on the fact that we had 2 visits minimum on our teaching practice placements, and we had placements every year across the 4 years of studying. I actually don't think we said that out loud on here at all yet, but you'd have to have your lesson plans and all the documents and all that kind of thing. And it was a nicely rigid process. So that's why I asked about your creative space in the middle of all that then too, and be able to keep that in your classroom now. But the page that you got from the tutor after they came to see your class, there was the marks, and as I say, when I close my eyes I can see it, but I can't remember. It was like professional conduct. It was something along those lines when you just wake up. And I called one of the students my dear, and it's not really a Lauren thing to kind of naturally come out. I don't know if it was nerves or whatever, but I was like, oh yeah. And I can still remember the moment it happened in the classroom. I didn't really pass much remarks, but I remember feeling a little bit like out of nature as such. Yeah. And that was fine, and it came up at the end, and I got docked for that, and her and listened to like a 5-minute rant as such on a time that the tutor had been in hospital, and the nurse had called her my dear, and she was like, how unprofessional that is and all this kind of thing. I'm like, you're literally in a classroom with second years right now. And
oh my goodness.
I was over explaining an answer to them because they were nervous and I was nervous, and is that really a thing? So
that's so
yeah, but again, like when you reflect back and you can kind of see where they're coming from, but I don't know if it's helpful to, as you say, like, is the student happy in learning, and is the teacher happy in learning, like in teaching, happy in teaching, and being able to facilitate the learning, you know? I think everything like
There's
that comes
much bigger
big
things in
picture.
teaching than calling someone my dear. I mean,
Yeah.
as you
And the
said,
black jeans.
the kids are happy, the kids are safe, the kids are
Yeah.
learning, the kids are succeeding. That is literally all that matters. Oh my
Did you
goodness, we've
talk
been
to
through Trump.
teachers much on your travels, Cass? Like, what's it like? I know because globally, and I know we have some American friends listening, and I know some quite closely where this is a massive issue, like in terms of teacher education, and the education system in general over in the US. So yeah, I'm just wondering, like, what was, or was it completely like, I don't want to even think about school when I'm away? Or yeah, did you kind of come across any different?
Yeah, I was going. So when we moved to Canada, I was going to get into teaching, but then COVID happened, and I like teaching through COVID was just a literal nightmare. Like it just took the fun out of school because you had to clean the desks. Everything was so rigid. So I remember when we had to postpone it for a year, I remember saying, no, I'm going to take a little break from teaching. So I actually went into sales over there. I was selling school tours to teachers. So it was interesting to talk to the teachers in Canada. But their system is so different. It's honestly so different to ours. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just, I feel like in Ireland we're very lucky. Our schools feel like there's a really good like mutual respect between teachers and students, whereas over there it felt like the kind of more old-fashioned way, whereas teachers are so much more above you than a student, and there's that authority there. Now I could be wrong, that could have been the schools I was kind of working with, but it just seemed that there's a huge difference in authority, whereas you still have that in Ireland, but I feel like it's a much more relaxed environment. So that was definitely one thing I noticed.
Yeah, no, for definite. And I do think, like, I know in my experience, I do think it depends where you are in the world, and then also then maybe even where you are here. I think it's like 9 different schools in total. I did a bit of subbing, and then like that was home, and then Dublin, and as you say, like the professional lines, and the kids, they're not kids, but you know, like teenagers seeing you on social media. There is a line, and I became hyper aware one Christmas time where it was like, I'm out and they're out, but I'm out and there's a line. So I'm all for sharing worlds and sharing spheres, but where you, as you say, can create like some of those privacy boundaries and all that kind of thing. But in terms of then that approach in the classroom, and that like oh my god, why can't I speak? Authoritarian, is that how you say it? Authoritarian approach. I've seen a blend. Like I've seen like 1850s style, like today in 2024, and I've seen
that's it. Yeah, it depends on the teacher. It depends on so many factors. Like it really does.
What's your
style? I suppose maybe on mine, I'm definitely more like, I just love a mutual respect. I think like if you see someone, I don't like if they're 1 minute late, I'm not going to scream the head off them. Like if they're wearing the wrong shoes, just talk to them. Like don't scream at them to put away the non-school jacket. Just ask them why they have it, put it away. I think if you approach it, in my opinion, if you approach it as a human, as opposed to being authoritative, I think they just react so much more, and you don't have conflict. You're not ruining their day. You're not ruining your day. And it's just a conversation, and they kind of realize, okay, yes, if you approach it as a human, as opposed to being authoritative, I think they just react so much more, and you don't have conflict. You're not ruining their day. You're not ruining your day. And it's just a conversation, and they kind of realize, okay, yes, I will put the phone away, or I'll do this. So I think that's my approach, but I do think it just, you kind of blend yourself to what teachers you enjoyed when you were in secondary school. I think it's really who you admired as a student, you kind of turn into them, if that makes sense.
100,000%. Because I've caught myself a few times where I'm like, ooh, that was a very Miss Whoever kind of a thing. And that role model approach, you know, and I've always admired my teachers, and I still do. Like, I still look up to mentors and that are ahead of me, and, you know, different people in leadership and so on. And we are like, they developed us, and as you say, like we can kind of see how that's had, and we are with them, and I think it's like that constant circle of learning and learning more ourselves to show them more than too, like, and with all the love. But I've like had colleagues and I've had teachers as well where all they know is the classroom and school, and that's wonderful. And especially when like maybe they've been there for so long and that kind of thing. And I do think there's something built in us that we just are. Like, as I say, I don't think we can get away from it. I don't know.
No.
But it's that cycle, that loop of knowing what it did for us. And I'm wondering, Cass, then, and we might circle into everything we kind of chatted about today. Is there any one teacher or leader or time that you had that was like, yeah, I want to be like them, or that's what I want for me?
Yeah, I think once again, it's gone back to my home ec teacher. She was just so lovely. Now, once again, she was firm, really firm from first to third year. So you can't, now not authoritative, just firm but fair. And she kind of really set the expectations and the standards. And then she kind of let you in a little bit more as you got into TY 5th year and 6th year. And I just remember, like, she just really cared. She created such a safe, warm atmosphere. It was really like positive learning experience. Like, she used to celebrate her birthdays and bring in cakes. Like, she just really cared.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, yeah, I want to be like that. Like, you want for some kids, you know, school is a safe place for them, and you just want to make sure that they feel welcome and safe and loved there as well. So I think that's really important for me, just that you can be their one good person if they need it. So that's what's really important for me. So yeah, circling back, definitely my home ec and Irish teacher, because they're both very similar in their teaching and in the way they cared so much about the job. So yeah, I would say both my Irish and home ec teachers, and that is why I am now an Irish and home ec teacher.
I love that. I really love that. Because that's my little thing, my massive thing is like, I'm leaving them. But when when there's more than just ourselves as well, you know, there's also, and it's not to say that I can't serve in another way.
Absolutely.
You know, for now, because like that transition and change is always good. Cass, as a self-efficient home economist, I love this. And yeah, let's maybe close on that. Like, self-efficacy. Do you have trauma memory, or what does it mean to kind of be a home economist? Like, to be that kind of all those lectures that we would have had, and kind of what we instill in our home economist students, particularly, of doing things and being able to do things for themselves. How is that important? Or
I just think, and I think students are really aware of it now, I just think it's such an important subject, especially from first to third year. Like, and you can see the joy in their faces. There's nothing more wholesome than when they have never cooked or baked or sewn before, and then you're 2 weeks into it, especially sewing. I always find that with the sewing aspect of it, at the start they're like, oh, I can't do this, it's so hard. And then 2 weeks later you just have a class of silence and they're just sewing away. Like, it's incredible. I think what's so important about the subject is they can always link it back to their lives. Like, it's something that we use every day, even without knowing it. Like, when we're making our breakfast or lunch or dinner, we are using our home ec knowledge. I just think it is amazing. And especially with like things like fashion and fast fashion, like, that's all transferred back into home ec. That's things you talk about in home ec, with the environment, with clothing, textiles. It's just an all-rounder subject. Yes. And I think the kids kind of realize that as well. I think they really realize, right, we're learning life skills. I'm going to have this. I'm going to be able to cook when I go to college or when I go off to work after school. Like, it's just so invaluable. It's an amazing subject. And I do think the kids do realize that as well.
Yeah. No, for definite. For definite. And I love when people go, you know, oh, all you do is cook.
Yeah, I know.
And you take out core area 2, you know, maybe from senior cycle, leaving third home.
Oh, you know, literally, like, they get to 6th year, then they're like, why did we never cook?
Yeah, that's it. Start talking about inputs, throughputs, and outputs. But it's all connected that way. And thank you so much for chatting about it and for doing what you're doing. As I say, not just in the classroom, but also on socials. And for friends listening, as I say, if you're not following Cass, it's Corla Cass on Instagram and her TikTok, that teacher that travels. And I feel really sparked. I get sparked when I see you share online, and I've been really sparked even with this, because it can get heavy, and there's all these things that are asked of us, and there's all the opinions, and there's all the, you know, sometimes black jeans rules and things like that. But as you say, at the bottom line, at the end of it all, is what we're doing for our students and for those that are in our care, and to make that fun and happy and safe And I would love to come into your classroom sometime as not an inspector.
No, thanks. Trauma from last week.
I think it'd be such a fun place. So I'm sure your students, is what I mean, are very grateful to have you on the daily. So yeah, thank you so much, Cass. And is there anything you'd like to kind of share before we finish? Or?
Well, let's put it back on you for a second. You're doing amazing things with this podcast. I love listening to, so good for you. You're doing amazing things for everyone listening as well. So thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate it. No, I really do appreciate that. We're trying to, season 1, as I say, is women-centered, and really hoping to get some of the things that we don't chat about enough, or we don't take the time to chat about, kind of out there. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks. That means a lot. We will do this again. We'll see about Val his life and doing the Inca Trail and everything. You'll have to come on and tell us.
Well, absolutely. Update you on that.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, friend, for listening to the Thinking of Me podcast. I hope you found something within our story today that lands for you. You can keep up with us on Thinking of Me blog, Thinking of Me coaching, and Lauren Jean on socials. Go to thinkingofmecoaching.com/checklist for your checklist for self-fulfillment. Until our next chat, talk soon, my friend.